And ladies and gentlemen, it's playoff time, baby. Here we are, and special guest, and guest with pink eye, allegedly.
Not me.
Not you, the normal guest. We're not sure how it happened.
He's called a co-host, not a guest.
True. Although, I don't know. We do it infrequently enough where I feel like a guest a lot of times too. But it's great to be here, man. And this probably the last one of the season, unless we just get really bored after the season. But been a fun ride. I feel like we did okay this year. We got this would be like our fourth video out. So for a bunch of 34, 35-year-olds with jobs and kids, I think that's okay. But
that's
anyways,
pretty good.
gentlemen, how are we doing?
We're doing great. We're pumped to have made the playoffs. Nice run to get here, and now it's time for business.
You're back-to-back years, Bao?
I think this is like 3 or 4 straight years for me.
Oh, jeez. Pretty good. I think I've been on a bit of a drought, so it's definitely great to be back myself.
Before I went on this little run, I was on a drought. That was like 3 years I didn't make the playoffs, and finally I said enough's enough. We're going to actually pay attention.
You guys are doing better than me, all right? You're doing better than me.
I decided to get good and still pay the same amount of attention rather than paying a bunch of attention and sucking.
That's what I like to do.
It's the worst.
It's not great.
Bro, you got a great team though. Like
I do. I have a fun team. The Chase brothers are fun to watch.
He'll be one of the old, I saw a stat today that Jamar Chase is the most common rostered player for playoffs teams. And apparently
Thanks a lot. Yeah, that's a good stat.
Thank you. So great stat.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate that. The rest of my team just sucked, huh? Anthony Richardson, that worked out pretty well. Marvin Harrison Jr., early second round, worked out pretty good. Michael Pittman was nice. Yeah, that was those were all pretty good. Pacheco getting hurt. Yeah, that was it was too bad.
That one hurt.
Yeah.
And then not getting Kareem Hunt or
I know. Carson Steele I chose Carson Steele instead.
Yeah. That's all right.
I don't know.
Go
I'm getting
in
that first pick.
And then you can pick Christian McCaffrey.
I'm not sure I would, to be honest.
But to get there, it's Operation Beat Alaska, right?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, that is the name of the game. So I think we just kind of. Do we want to go through each of the 6 teams, or do you just want to go through the bracket and look at each?
Well, let's do
bracket.
Let's do a quick shout out to league winner here, the Molar Bears. So they also eclipsed me in total points scored by 3. So congratulations, real top dog, the only 10-4 team in the league. JP did it. I thought maybe coming into this year, we thought he kind of had an average team, or maybe he was ranked at the bottom and had to go back and look. But he's kind of ends up where he usually does, towards the top.
Yeah, what the heck? He's just an all-star mastermind every year.
He's great. And then Hannerhan's luck finally ran out. Has an 8-6 record, but misses the playoffs because his points are just far too low. 1380.
Brutal.
What is that? Third lowest scoring in the league, but 8-6 record. So that came to an end. Alaska avoided. We avoided Alaska getting the bye, which is great. So do we want to talk about how close were things last week to changing, Bauer? I know I sent you a emotional text, and then you text me back, and you're like, "I'm in, baby. What do you mean?" And then I had to call you for clarification, but I might have been drinking.
Well, it was, so during the noon games, Hanahan's team was going off. That was even before Charbonnet or Burrow had played, but Rashad White benefited from Bucky Irving leaving the game early. I forget who else he had, but his team was just going off. While your team was doing fine, it was like anytime you would score, then his guys would score twice.
Right.
And so I was like, all right, well, frickin' Hanahan's going to beat Tlougan, that means that I have to beat Laska. Well, then Laska's team they got some points. Tua went to overtime and got a bunch of points, and so like that one was like our matchup for a little bit there was really tight.
McBride didn't do anything the whole first half.
Yeah, and then that was like really when you looked at it, because like Brian Thomas had 0 points at half. I had him, and then he ended up finishing up the day with like 8 catches for 80 yards. And I was like, all right, like that was great.
Yeah.
Obviously, I had Addison and Mooney on my bench, and that was what I was debating between for that specific spot.
Yeah.
So it was like tight, and then I was literally going to church Sunday night, and right before I was going into church, that's when James Conner and Kyron Williams both scored touchdowns. And then after that, I went to church, didn't pay attention, came out, and
Praise the Lord.
saw that we were projected to win, and basically just needed I just needed Hopkins and Kareem Hunt not to go off in the Kansas City game, and had it there. And then there was also a chance there for a little while that Lawson's team was kind of laying some goose eggs. They were projected to lose to Mortel, so then I texted Roy, you need to be rooting for Tlougan to come back, because if he wins and Lawson loses, then no matter what happens in my matchup, or I think
then Josh Allen happened. 51.
And then Josh Allen and Tyreek Hill started getting some points. So it was a lot more stressful of a Sunday than I thought. Like going into the week, I was like, "Oh, this is great. Tlougan's just going to take care of Hanrahan," and then I just have to outscore Broik. Or Broik just had outscored me like 50 points, and I liked my matchups in my team. I was like, it's going to be pretty tough. But so.
And then officially last place. I don't know why. Yeah. Okay. So this is right. Mortel.
Poor Mortel.
For Mortel, 4-10 record, kind of predictable, right, with his starting circumstances. But
but he also, he had more points than Jenny. He had almost 100 more points than Jenny. But you go look at it, he took my most points against Crown. He had 1626.86 scored against him.
Yeah.
So that means the scoring average against him was higher than JP's leading score average. So that's pretty tough. And I think the last rough go. He lost 5 in a row, and then Jenny got the win the final week to avoid last place. I wish we had a good punishment, because then those matchups would mean a lot more. So we need to do some sort of brainstorming.
We should look at his last 5 games or 6 games, because I think he probably averaged 70 or 80 points a game. I knew, because when when you texted me that, I was swimming in a pool in Duluth, hotel pool in Duluth, and I was looking, and Losses was projected to get 80 points, and it had to stay at 80 points, because I knew that Mortel wasn't scoring hardly over 80.
His highest score of the last 5 weeks was 86.
Brutal.
And then
pretty good.
5 weeks before that, he was 140, 112, 90, 139, 118, 95.
143, holy buckets.
He had a good run there, and then traded away Kittle. Apparently that was the key. But so Mortel, unfortunately, last place, but with what he had in draft capital, it's not surprising. JP, league winner. Leon, even though he lost, Laska lost, so I think that kept him keeping a bye. Had Laska beaten me, he would have had a bye. So you're welcome.
Good job. Good job,
Thanks.
Boy.
Great job. Team player.
Plus I put Laska in I think the playoffs are pretty even. We're gonna get to this. When we get to the bracket here, I think that there's a lot of parity, which we've kind of seen all year long. There's not that one dominant team, that's just way better than everyone else. The teams in the playoffs are the top 5 of the top 6 or 6 of the top 7 scorers. I think Broik has Lostness outscored, so Broik was the 6th highest scoring team. But our points per game average is a 5-point difference from the highest to the lowest.
Wow. Per game, 5 points per game.
JP averaged 115.7, for the high mark, and Lawson's was 109.4 for the low mark. So 6.3 points per game is just average difference. So pretty tight. So should be a good playoff. It's kind of a, I mean, we had 9 of the 12 people send in picks. Costello just texted me, so I updated the thing. So we'll get to those at the end. See what everyone thinks, but let's get into these. Should we get into the matchups first, or should we get into the 2 buys?
Let's just go to the matchups here.
All right, let's go to the matchups. Let's start off with me and Laska.
You've got 11 people rooting for you pretty hard there, Bao, or maybe 10 again.
Yeah, you guys split the regular season, 1 game apiece here, and a little bit different roster construction. I would say Bauer, you're more balanced, and Laska's a bit more top heavy. This one I think is going to be razor thin. Really, it's as ESPN is projecting that. When I was going through and just looking, it's going to be close. You hope a few things that can happen here. The Baltimore Ravens play the New York Giants. That could mean that Derrick Henry runs all day long, but also it could mean they're up early and they rest. Right, that could be great news for you. That's just one thing that stuck out right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Laska's pretty much running backs and quarterback have been his bread and butter all year. I mean, he's got a pretty potent trio with Jacobs, Henry, and Kamara. I feel like if we went back and looked at all of his wins and his high point totals, I'm sure it's those 3 are having, those 15 to 25 point games. Just giving but so that he needs those 3 guys. Jaden Daniels he's bounced back. He had a little bit of a stretch there. In the middle of the season after he had that injury where he wasn't putting up that many points, but his last 2 games before the bye week, 30 points, 27 points. So that's his bread and butter, and mine is kind of just balanced throughout the lineup. I mean, I don't have a superstar at quarterback. Jared Goff's been decent though. Like, I think he's only quarterback, 10 on the year. But 2 of the last 4 weeks he's been over 22 points. Had that big game against Jacksonville, and it's going against a Buffalo team that could be a shootout where maybe you saw what the Rams just did to that Buffalo defense. Maybe the Lions. Maybe they get into a crazy shootout with them too, which I would love because that means just more opportunities there. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting matchup between balance versus like top heavy superstar power. So
yeah, and Laska, he's got Kamara, who's been a beast, and it's crazy that he's on this team again. But kind of just average, I guess, the last few weeks. But now their quarterback's out, right? So it feels like Kamara's kind of matchup proof and maybe kind of quarterback proof because he's going to get those dump offs and those receptions, and they don't have much else going on this team. But that's a potential kind of downgrade there. Josh Jacobs been on an absolute tear as far as touchdowns, right? Like,
yeah,
it seems like that can't be sustained. I heard that Seattle's run defense is playing at a decent level right now, so maybe that's he can't score 3 touchdowns again.
Let's hope not. But
good.
Yeah, receiver wise, you don't have a lot to be afraid of here. Like Amari Cooper, Hopkins is basically good for 8 to 11 points. Cooper, I think he had a decent week last week, but that was just that crazy game, high scoring game. He's really not too much of a factor in my opinion. And then Tank Dell is his other receiver here. So I think you got him covered there. Devontae Adams, despite the Jets being basically out of it, he's still producing, still scoring points. Plays Jacksonville, who's terrible. T. Higgins had a bum week last week, but we know what he's capable of. That was really his worst week since he's been back from injury. So you like to see him rebound there. And then Addison, man, hometown hero, Ben Beeston. Can he do it again Monday night against Chicago? That'll be fun, right? Like, we'll see what this matchup comes down to. Does he have anybody on Monday night?
You're not going to play Addison, are you, Bauer? You're just holding him there in case Bucky comes back or Thomas. You want to play Thomas or something? Or are you baiting and switching Laska, or is this what you're going to do?
I mean, this is kind of the way I'm leaning. Bucky, if Bucky was healthy, I would probably, have him in there. Wouldn't even think twice about it because he's been, before
Back
that
night.
injury last week, like he has been like a top 5 run. I mean, 26 points, 24 points, 16 points. He's an absolute stud. But he had kind of gotten injured at the end of that Carolina game. Didn't practice all week last week, and then hurt his back right away in the second quarter or first quarter. So it's more. I need a little more confidence. I need to see him practicing. Like, it's just, that's a tough one. I don't want to lose it. If it's back spasm or something, that's a risky play right now. So right now, going with Addison, I'm going to pay attention, but that's kind of one of the problems when you have like a super balanced team is like it's really tough to decide. Like, because like Brian Thomas has been pretty good, but last week, he had 0 points a half, and then he's getting targeted more, which is good. But Addison's getting targeted more too, so it's like Addison plays on a better offense. So last time he played against Chicago, he went off. So it's like, I don't know. It's a tough call. It'll be something I'll be mulling over all week, and
and you're probably hoping that after this trade that you acquired Debo, that he wouldn't have just completely pooped his pants 4 straight weeks. I mean, he's a non-factor. It's the Jawan Jennings show now.
Yeah,
and Kittle, of course.
Debo was looking good when obviously the trade came through, and I was pretty pumped about that. But then, he's been just terrible, and so he is on the bench, and who knows? He might even get dropped for a move.
If Laska had your receivers that you have on the bench, I think at least a couple of them will be playing. I mean, I don't have much confidence in Cooper.
I think Brian Thomas and Darnell Mooney, I think he'd start both of those guys over.
I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
Over Cooper and Dell.
I mean, Brian Thomas, he's a rookie. He's had some duds. He's number 9 overall receiver, and Mooney's like a top 15 receiver, and so like they're good players. And I mean, honestly, Devontae Adams coming on, 3 of his last 4 games, and even the one where he didn't have a big game, he's getting like 13, 14 targets. It's kind of hard to sit him. And then Higgins with Cincinnati, they're having to throw all the time because their defense is terrible, and I like having Higgins out there. He's been great other than last week, but fortunately I didn't need him. So, it's going to be huge. I need to take down the Empire Pot. And then Jared Goff. I think if Jared Goff can give me 20 points, I'm going to feel really good.
Yeah, got a shot. I agree.
Because then all my running backs are kind of, Kyron is awesome. Yes, Corum gets in there every once in a while, but Kyron is their guy. James Conner's the man. Jonathan Taylor, he's been probably disappointing. And honestly, if Bucky was 100% healthy, I might be sitting Jonathan Taylor. And put a big, we'll kind of see how stuff goes. Because if it's one of those things where since I have some of the later matchups, if I need I need a safe play here, or do I need a boom or bust play? So we'll see. But I like my team, and we're vibes are high right now. And
you guys both have skin in the game tomorrow. You got Kyron Williams against George Kittle.
Yeah.
So that'll be a fun way to kick off the playoffs. Couple big name guys for sure. So that can maybe be a tone setter.
I saw you pick up Washington D, and then you picked up Packers D after that. What were your thoughts on those moves?
Well, I didn't have much fab money because last week I needed to win. So I spent a bunch to get Tampa Bay's defense. which I don't think anyone else even put a bid in, but I wasn't going to try. I put like
Yeah.
$8 on them because I was like, I need a defense. I need to win. Like next week doesn't matter if I don't win this week. So then I put in bids for I think Denver and I don't know, someone else had a good matchup. And they didn't. Obviously, people outbid me. So then I just looked at kind of some of the matchups, and honestly, I picked up Washington because I liked their matchup. But then I was like, God, but like their defense isn't good. I was like, yeah, let's drop a team that I. So then I looked and I saw the Packers there, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna pick them up because I think they're pretty good defense. But two, then Laska has to root for points to be scored against them, and
Oh, a little mental warfare here,
playing some mental
psychological
games
warfare.
here to, you know. So obviously, if the Packers defense has a big night, I mean, Geno has been known to turn the ball over. Packers are healthy. Jair Alexander looks like he's gonna be back. Their defense is a top 10 scoring on the year. We'll see. I mean, that might not even be my final move. I might tinker with that.
Yeah.
I like to just drop and pick up people just to throw people off of what I'm doing, and then I just end up with Bucky Irving.
The defenses are underappreciated in this league. They can make or break things pretty quick, as we found out.
Defenses are great, and like when I was like going through like looking at each of the teams, like what's their strength, all this stuff. Like I didn't even include defenses because I feel like people switch them, like pick up guys, like so many people based on matchups. And
yeah,
I love with our shorter bench, teams can't just stash defenses for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, then you'll look at my roster. I have 3 of them.
Well, yeah, well that's you're the only one stashing defenses. I guess
It's a long play, baby.
Like I was talking, I was even texting last, and I was like, well, I would love to just like, I was like, I can't drop Mooney. I can't drop anybody on my bench. Maybe Debo, but like, I can't drop any of those other guys because they're good players, but they all have good keeper value. So it's like,
Right.
so we'll see. But yeah, defenses are huge. I mean, you can get those, that defense to get you 10 points. I mean, that's a home run. Then you get one of those lucky games where you get a couple like defensive scores.
Like Laska had it with the Broncos against Jameis.
Yeah,
that won him the game.
Yeah, I mean that honestly, that would have, he'd be the 6th seed had that not happened.
Ugh.
But then me and Tlougan would have been playing each other, and we're waiting for the Commissioner's Cup Championship versus.
Yeah, we got a plan. We got a plan.
It worked out. But all right, let's get into this next matchup. We'll give our predictions on both these games
at the end.
Semis later, but
Yeah.
let's get into this semi. We got the Overhands and the Poop Johnsons.
Classic matchup here. Week 6, I lost by 11 or so. We have certainly different teams at this point, but man, obviously the one initial takeaway for me is Josh Allen against Detroit. That's a bit scary to me. We just saw what he was able to do in a high scoring game against the Rams, and you project the game against Detroit to be just the same, right? Another high scoring affair. So definitely that has me a bit worried. Aside from that, I think it's a close matchup. It really depends to me on Josh Allen, what he does, and is Tyreek going to be Tyreek, or is he just going to be kind of what he's been, kind of ho hum? But he's had a couple nice weeks in a row here, so definitely some nerves going on. This is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, Losses has a good team. I don't like to admit it, but they deserve to be in. I don't know about his depth over yours. I mean, yours is much deeper, I think, especially at wide receiver and tight end. But Laporta, I guess Laporta and Pitts have been okay here and there. Pitts has been pretty brutal the last most of the year, after week 1, basically. Laporta's been kind of in and out, but sort of just kind of hanging around. What's his position rank these days? 13, does it say?
Laporta 13, yeah, for the season.
I think he's had 2 back-to-back, well, a 14 and a 7. So, yeah, definitely a disappointment for. Well, I mean, he kept him at a late round. A lot of guys drafted him in the 2nd round in redraft. So, we know he's capable. Again, shootout potential against Buffalo there.
Well, we're really all expecting that, and it's going to be like a 6-3 game.
That'd be pretty good. I mean, as long as St. Brown gets those touchdowns. So, or that I guess 6-3, there might not be any touchdowns, but I
One
still
touchdown.
one touchdown to St. Brown from your guy Goff. That would be bad for your matchup, though.
Well, I mean, if Goff throws for like 401 touchdown and their kicker just misses a bunch of kicks, I mean, that's fine.
Sure. That'd be a weird game. I'm still not set on a couple things here. So for one, AJ Brown definitely been a bit of a disappointment since the trade here. He's basically had one good game and a bit disappointing in the other ones here. I'm not sure where I want to go with that with the emergence of Jawan Jennings and JSN continuing to put up decent games. I'm going to have a decision to make there. And I think Kenneth Walker is probably going to miss. I think they're the Thursday night game. No, they're not. Are they?
No, they're the Sunday night.
Sorry.
Game,
They're Sunday night. So
which is sometimes it's great to have them late, but sometimes it sucks because you can't sit there and like risk like, oh,
yeah, I'd have to basically decide between him and JSN maybe. But yeah, I mean, my squad as a whole, solid up and down, I think. A couple decent matchups. Rico Dowdle's really emerged in Dallas and has been fun to have the last couple weeks here. So plays Carolina. That's a decent matchup. They've been playing better, but not terrible. Spent a lot of money on the Ravens. Speaking of defense, I think we dropped like a 20 spot, $22 just to make sure we landed him, get any advantage I can.
Do they play Cleveland or something every week or what?
They play the Giants this week, and then my long-term plan is then I have the Colts who play. They play Denver this week, but then they play Tennessee and then the Giants as well. So, and then I have the Steelers who are great, third-ranked defense, but it's like they have a gauntlet down the stretch: Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City. So, they scored 15 against Cincinnati. So we'll see. Some decisions to make. I got options.
Yeah,
interesting.
I think of the 6 teams in here in the playoffs, I think Lostness has the most like volatile lineup. Like I think he has obviously Josh Allen, but then you factor in Tyreek Hill being like, I mean, super explosive. You have Malik Neighbors. I mean, obviously with quarterback injuries, his stock's maybe a little down, but he's still like freak. But then Joe Mixon's been like freaking really hot. So I think like Lostness' team where it's like, maybe you won't see everybody scoring in double digits. He just has the potential to have like 3 guys go for like 20 to 30 points.
Yeah.
Like they have one of the highest ceilings because of, Allen, Tyreek, and Mixon. But then I also think of all the 6 teams, I think they have the lowest floor. It all just comes down to what kind of weeks does he get? Because he needs superstar weeks from his superstars, where Tlougan, your team's more balanced. Your team can, if one guy has an off week, you have many more options to kind of pick up the slack.
Yeah, one way or another, I've been scoring about 120 points right on the last few weeks. So safe floor for sure. But yeah, I think you hit it on the head here. He has potential to put up 160 like all day long.
Yeah, and I also I think Zay Flowers is kind of his. I think that's probably his underrated player. He's kind of, he has the potential. I remember when I played him, he had a big game, but he's kind of been down a little recently. Like hasn't found the end zone for a while. So I think if he can get production out of some of those guys, and then obviously he needs, like I said, he needs a superstars. And then for Tlougan, I think Rico Dowdle is that's been finally the Cowboys were like, oh, he's so much better than a washed up Zeke Elliott or Dalvin Cook. And now that the Cowboys have had a few weeks of Cooper Rush, you saw they're a better team than they were a couple weeks ago. I mean, even look at CeeDee Lamb; he even looked like legit. So that probably stings a little bit for you, Tlougan.
Yeah, especially with AJ Brown losing production there.
But I think so for Rico Dowdle's huge, and then Scary Terry's been awesome this year. Needs another big week from him, and then I think another big key for you is Jawan Jennings. He's been awesome. Like he had the most deceiving stat line for so long because where he was ranked after the first 6 weeks, he was ranked so high, but you take out that 41-point performance. So I never really cared that much for him, and then since he's since Ayuk's been out and they've come off their bye, he's been pretty consistent. And he's kind of their, a big red zone threat for them. And San Francisco's they're going to be playing desperate because they kind of have to win. So
I like him a lot. This Green Bay game was without Purdy, and the Buffalo game was the snow game.
So it's like, so when it's been, and it's I think it's at the Rams, so it's in a controlled environment. You would think that's going to, because the Niners defense is what it used to be. They might get Bosa back, but that doesn't fix everything. So you think maybe that'll be a higher scoring game. You got Jennings going like that. So yeah, this is another interesting matchup. When we get to everyone's predictions, we'll see if anyone's surprised by what was submitted. But
Terry and Amon Ra, I've had them in a couple other leagues too. They could go a couple games or like 3 quarters without a catch or something, or with low points. And you're like, what in the world? And then they'll, like Terry especially, will get like just bombs and touchdowns. Daniels has been so good at throwing the deep balls, and then he ends up with like 20 points. And you're like, oh, okay, nice. Scary Terry.
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, I need St. Brown to have a bounce back here. He's had a couple of just ho-hum games the last few weeks, so definitely could use some
that monster
St. Brown
against
love.
Jacksonville. Weirdly, with St. Brown, like you would think, I think it's just because Detroit, they're so good at running the ball that they don't have to. But I mean, for 5 of the last 6 weeks, he's averaging 8. He's had over 8 targets once or twice, I guess. But you'd think he would be seeing the ball more because he is, a dynamic player. So maybe in a higher scoring game or a bigger game, they kind of want to make a statement. I feel like Dan Campbell loves making statements sometimes. I think that's why they were still chucking it against Jacksonville, because they were up because Jared Goff had that bad game against Houston, and he's like, you know what, we're coming out this week, and Jared, you're going to throw it even though we're up 40. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome.
But yeah, I have him in a bunch of other leagues, and he's been great. But yeah, definitely some quieter games. Maybe that big boom game is lurking. Probably lurking until the final week of the regular season, but in the NFL, which doesn't help us, because he always tears up the Vikings.
Yeah.
So.
Right on. All right. Good here.
Let's go take a look at our 2 buys. Let's start with our league champ, our regular season champ, Mr. Justin Paz. Dr. Justin Paz, I suppose he's a dentist. But, missed the playoffs for the first time ever, bounces back the next year by winning the regular season title. Dude, he's very good at he kind of goes under the radar because he's just, the group chat wasn't working for a while, but then he's just quiet, and then he'll just randomly talk some shit here or there. And his team's just he always just finds just such great value plays.
Yeah. I'm not shaking in my boots for any of these players. I mean, maybe Puka, because he can just turn it on like he did last week, but a lot of these players are just kind of normal, run of the mill. They'll have good weeks, or they're really consistent. Chuba kind of came out of nowhere. We must have drafted him, I'd guess.
Yep.
I don't remember, but I mean, Sutton and Pickens were unreal this year for him. I don't know. We got dropped by Jenny. Oh no!
Yeah, Jenny, that one hurts.
$1
picked up for $1. Buckets. Yeah, and now with Jonathan Brooks out again, he's back to being the man there. So
yeah,
that's a boost. Yeah. That's definitely a boost for the squad.
Yeah. So that's I mean, Cortland Sutton's kind of been a average receiver. Then he's looked really good this year. George Pickens, when he's played, has been pretty good. Nice thing is he gets to have a bye this week and gets to kind of, maybe he gets Pickens back. And then he's got, plenty of options. Just solid throughout. I mean, his running backs by position rank go 3, 10, 11. His receivers by position rank, including Sutton, and it goes 11, 7, 11, 19, 26, and Puka's only 26 because he missed so much time. He's averaging almost 15.7 points per game, which I think puts him at the top.
Yeah, he's more of a top 5-ish now.
That's like a top 5 receiver right there. So that's, I think you're right, Brooke. That's like the one scary player. And then Chuba with the Brooks injury, he went from being kind of in a split backfield where he kind of struggled to now he's back to being the guy. And Carolina's been playing awesome.
Yeah.
And they got some good matchups. Like they're going against, Dallas, Arizona, Tampa Bay. I mean, I haven't looked at their running back rankings, but I just feel like those are teams like Carolina's going to be able to compete with. So he'll be getting a lot of work.
Awesome.
This team, it kind of reminds me a little bit of mine, just with the depth options. With
the two defenses,
couple high enders, a couple defenses. Yes.
He's. I mean, I think like if you average out like their like top running backs, JP's like, he has the third best running backs of the playoff teams. He has, the second best wide receivers. He's got a decent tight ends. It just depends. Tucker Kraft's kind of a volatile player, but he's just got so many of them compared to others where it's like, I have 3 guys and I need them to go. Where JP's like, I got like 10 guys, so
right.
He's definitely more balanced than a lot of people, and he just needs 1 or 2 guys to have a big game, and he's tough to beat. I mean, I had to beat JP to get into the playoffs, and that's when Goff had that like 400-yard passing game with like 4 touchdowns, and I mean it was a shootout.
He's probably got a choice here between Ertz and Kraft because they could both. I mean, Ertz is probably more. I mean, obviously, they're not looking at this week, but Ertz is probably more consistent, whereas Kraft could get you touchdowns and have maybe a bit more upside.
Yeah.
But that's probably something that he's going to have to think about each week as we goes into starting next week in the playoffs here.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's
going into the bye. Ertz was great. He was 15, 12, 11. So very, like you said, very consistent. That's that high floor play. And then Kraft, I mean, he's had 9, 10, 11 the last 3 weeks. He had a dud in there, but yeah, it's nice when you have, a couple tight end options, because it's you're only playing one typically, barring like a random bye week. But this team's, they're going to be tough to beat. Like they're going to score like 100. Bare minimum, they're going to score like 105 points. So you're going to have to go out and, score a lot.
Yeah, I like this squad a lot. I think they're going to, if I really think any of these 6 could win it.
Dude, by the way, do you know that JP started the year 1-3?
Did he?
Finished the year 9-1.
Oh, shit.
Nice.
Well done.
And since in his first 2 weeks he went 75 points, 92 points, and then from week 3 on, his lowest point total was 99.
It's that Chuba Hubbard pickup.
That's pretty dang good. Like when you're low, when that's 90, yeah, when you're low of the last 11 weeks is 100 points. That's really good.
You feel pretty safe.
He was the one last year, obviously, that after week 1 he got Puka and he got who else did he get?
He got Kyren Williams.
Kyren and Puka.
Wow.
Shit.
So, and this year he got Chuba, and what other work did he do early in the year to kind of turn it around? Because he must have done something in that besides Chuba to turn it around. And Puka got hurt, of course, but he still won the game.
Drake London started firing off. Pretty good for him.
Yeah, week 1 was brutal.
Like most of those guys he drafted, Tucker Kraft might have been like the pickup. Like I feel like Cortland Sutton would have been drafted. DJ Moore would have been drafted.
I think I think Chuba just rose up. Chuba was a powerhouse.
Yeah, I think Chuba and then maybe Tucker Kraft.
Yep. Chuba, Kyren, and Puka.
Added
Nice pick.
in October, Tucker Craft. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, 9-1 over his last 10 is very impressive. You know who's only lost to? This guy.
as you.
Yeah.
And then that's regular season champion is $100. So he's already got a little money towards
Oh,
next
boy.
year.
Good for him.
That's wonderful. Then we got
Yeah, I went.
another doctor. The doctors don't need to win money. What the hell?
It's for glory more than anything.
But
yeah. Interesting squad here, Bauer. With the McCaffrey trade early in the season, finally came back and was never really had a big McCaffrey game, but you just thought, okay, he keeps going, gets him into the playoffs, or once Leon gets to the playoffs, he'll be rolling. Obviously, he goes down, wins the Garendo lottery, and now Garendo's out. Now that could just be a week-to-week thing. We don't know yet. So a little bit dicey there, but there's a lot of good things going on with this squad. Obviously, Saquon, number one running back on the season, who's just been insane, a monster, capable of things like 44-point games. When we get
Jeepers.
town, so he's got a bye. Then he's got Washington and Dallas. Saquon should be just fine. And you got Lamar Jackson, the number one quarterback, right? Pretty much gets it done every single week. Gets to play Pittsburgh, which I think they played once before. So that was on the road. Was that snow game at Pittsburgh? But he had a down week there. But he gets Pittsburgh week 16 and then Houston. What else we have going on here? Brock Bowers. That's one thing I want to bring up. So sounds like their quarterback is now out.
Yeah, I
for the
don't
year.
know.
Is that right?
He got injured, and it looked like he was bad air cast. Then it sounds like he's like maybe it was an overreaction. He's back at practice and might play, but I don't know if it matters with Bowers.
It might not matter. Yeah.
He's really good. I mean, it didn't matter if it was Minshew or Aiden O'Connell. He was producing. I mean, that's who I kind of put like his most underrated player, even though he's the tight end number one. But he'd be like the wide receiver, like 16 or 17 on the year. So that's getting an extra wide receiver too in your lineup. He's just been awesome. He's got almost a perfect last name. But yeah, Leon's team him and Laska are very similar in the fact that they are very top heavy. Now part of Leon's thing is he's just had some injury. DK Metcalf was injured there a little bit. Michael Pittman was better with Joe Flacco, I feel like, than Richardson. But he'll, benefit of having the bye. If you have any, like with having Garendo, it's like he doesn't even have to worry about this week. Like he's just gotta, if I'm Leon, I probably hope that Garendo sits this week and comes back the following week.
Yeah, because he really could use him. I think he'd definitely prefer to have a guy like Garendo over whatever Ray McLeod is or Romeo Dobbs is.
Well, Ray was having a game against the Vikings.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, I mean that's what I said. I think him and Laska have pretty similar teams where they just have superstars at the top, and then it kind of drops off after that. You got Lamar, quarterback one, Saquon, running back one, Bowers, tight end one, and then Swift had like a nice streak there for a little bit, but he's kind of fallen off since.
Yeah.
So if Swift can, get going again, that would help him. DK Metcalf's, back healthy after missing, 2 games in the bye. He hasn't done
much. No.
So it's like, but he's lurking. I mean, everyone knows how good DK can be. Calvin Ridley, he's kind of, he's a highly, gets a bunch of targets. It just depends if Will Levis is accurate or not. So it's, like I said, I think Leon and Alaska, they're like the 2 of the most interesting teams just because they're have so many studs, and then it's just like, interesting. Yeah, losing McCaffrey hurts. If he had McCaffrey, though, I think Leon would probably have to be considered the favorite.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you would have just way too much firepower upside. Like Lamar goes for 30, Saquon goes for 25, 30, and then, a guy like McCaffrey going for 20, 25. Like without that, he really does need some other players to step up. He needs Brock Bowers not to be affected by any sort of quarterback change. I don't know if Metcalf and Swift are going to get it back going. Things just kind of seem to be the way they are.
Obviously, it doesn't matter this week. Nothing matters this week for them, so it's like you have to go look at their schedule coming up.
He's got Detroit and then
that's a really
Seattle.
tough matchup.
Yeah.
Metcalf, they probably have. Seattle's probably got.
Yeah, Minnesota.
Which he'll probably tear us up, so that's a good matchup.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Chicago,
which, especially at that time of the year, like certain teams just kind of start giving up because they don't really care. And so, but yeah, he needs Garendo. If he can get Garendo back healthy by next week, he'll be a very tough team to beat.
It'll be huge.
If Garendo's out, like it's a longer term injury or something like that, then I think Leon is very susceptible to losing because he just lacks the depth. But, anyways, that's kind of previewing all the teams and the matchups and all that. So let's
before we jump into your predictions, just to rattle it off. So first place, we got 840 Buccarinos on the line. Second will be 450. Third place, 150. And of course, everybody who's not in the playoffs is playing for that number one pick for draft pick position. And also the two teams, so Alaska and Lostness, when you lose this week, you'll still be playing for the most points to work your way up the draft board.
Yep.
All right, Bauer, what the hell do we have here?
So we I didn't have like brackets, so it's hard to so I just did it by this. But we had 9 of the 12 people send in their picks. Leon, Hanrahan, and Mortel, if you send me your picks in before the start of tomorrow night's games, it counts. Pretty much you're just going to get a point right for every pick you get right, and that includes the loser's bracket. If there is a tie, I'll have to figure out a tiebreaker. But, yeah, because, I got a Second Swing gift card to give away. I got some free Titleist stuff I got. So there's some decent prizes for the winner. Broik's already got one Second Swing gift card coming his way. It's in my backpack.
Hell yeah.
I had it at a draft. I told Broik, I was like, I had it in the draft. I was going to give it to you. And then I got drunk.
Shit happens.
And Alaska's bathroom. Yeah, it does. But anyways, yes, everyone that sent in picks, appreciate it. I think we'll go in the first round between Bauer and Laska. This one is actually pretty evenly split. I think Bauer had, I think I had 5. Laska had 4.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty even.
5, 4, yeah.
Pretty even. Then you look at Tlougan Lostness, and Tlougan was, I don't know why I have Laska here. I think he said Lostness. APs. I don't know why I put Laska there. Let me go confirm on a text message.
You can't pick both of you.
Mostly Bobo there, which I get.
No.
And
AP has Tlougan.
Oh, so it's only all Tlougan except for me. So the only reason I didn't say you, Bobo, I'll say it right now, is because AJ Brown and the reason I didn't pick you, Bauer, is Bucky. They both fucked me last week in my guillotine league. I was able to get Saquon, and I already had Henry. So if I just got through this week, it was a Final Four too. So if you just made it this week, then you're in the Final Four, and you just need to rack up points for the next few weeks, and the most points wins. And I would have had Saquon and Henry. I just had to get through this bye week, and Bucky and Brown just effed me. So you guys, I'm just kidding. I mean, that does suck, but I think both of those games can be really tight. And you saw what losses did last week, and I just think that it's possible that Alaska and Losses eke you guys out, but who knows? We'll see.
Anyway, so me and Alaska, it was 5-4 me. Tlougan Lostness 8-1 Tlougan. So everyone's kind of said Tlougan, you are a heavy favorite.
It's kind of a scary spot to be in, but we'll take
then
it.
we get into the semifinals. And there's a lot of
JP there. Rightly so, I think.
6 of the 9 selections were JP. There's 2 Laskas, and there's 1 me. And then on the Tlougan Leon side of the bracket, surprisingly, no one picked Leon to get to the championship.
I think
you were everyone but one as well.
Yeah. We just kind of looked at Leon's team and really taking a deep look together. I get that. I think I see where everyone's kind of coming from. There's some doubt. But go on.
You were a heavy favorite going into. Everyone thinks you're getting to the championship, and then when we get to the championship, that's where it evens out a lot more. Bauer and Laska each have been picked once. JP's been picked 4 times, and then Tlougan 3 times. So JP's kind of, which makes that evens out. But shockingly, 5 of the 6 playoff teams submitted their entries. Everyone but Lostness picked themselves to win.
Didn't have faith to get out of the first round.
He's either just totally just playing mind games and or what. But here's what Alaska had to say. He goes, round 1, I beat you, Tlougan wins. Round 2, I beat JP, Tlougan wins. 3rd place, JP wins. Championship, I win. Again, loser's bracket means nothing. All the trays washed away. Keeper's gone. Auction draft, here you come. All you losers talking shit. All your poop sandwiches for the draft and red wine to wash it down instead of bush lattes. Better all be asking for cutoff sweatshirts for Christmas if you ever want to have a chance at winning the RFFA championship.
Oh my God, that's heavy.
The red wine sounds nice, at least.
Yeah, that's the only good thing about it.
My reason for one, I'm picking myself, is right around the trade deadline, there were certain teams that should have been making moves that weren't making moves. So, thanks to the inspiration from Broik, who decided he was making moves, I decided to make moves. And I believe I sent a text that day that said, well, if none of these other fuckers are going to do it, then I'm going to make moves, and I'm going to make an underdog Cinderella run to glory. And
let's do it.
What better way to do it than to take out the Empire Pot
in
the first round, the league champ, the regular season champ in the second round, and then take out my co-commissioner in the championship. I mean, that would be the most glorious run. And so
I'm pumped.
My reasoning was I called it.
Fantastic.
I'm sticking to my shot, and if I don't, fuck it. But we're going for it. Alaska, you're going down. I told you, Devontae Adams he's going off this week, and then the Packers defense is going to have like 3 pick sixes and still lose. But you're going to lose to me because of former and current Packers.
Mic drop.
Love it. Do it. I dare you.
You and Lostness in the playoffs, both looking for their first title. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're the only 2 that have not won one yet.
Okay.
I finished as runner-up a year ago. And then 2 years ago, I was the regular season champ and lost in the semis because I got injured.
Kidney club. Well, some might say you're due. Some might say I'm due. As long as Laska's not due, we're good. He's certainly not. He's had his run here. Let's put that to bed.
He's going down this week.
Good. Get him out of there.
We're not even gonna let it get risky. We're just gonna take him out this week. And it's gonna be great.
Good. I hope you
just gonna be like gravy on top because he's just gonna go off Monday night, and we're gonna take them down. But yeah, I'm rooting for a Commissioner's Cup for the
Hell yeah.
champions.
That'd be great.
Of course you are.
I'm in on that.
Yeah. I gotta go get my sick daughter. She's crying right now. But I'll talk to you guys. I'll see it when it comes out. You guys can keep going. But I think that I'd love to see Bauer Losses win. I think JP's got the team to do it again, like he has before. But I hope.
Thanks.
See you, Bragg. Yeah, JP's got a good team, but he forgets JP's only won one title. For as good as he has been, he's won several regular season titles. He's been to the playoffs all those years, and he's got one. But on the loser side of the bracket, Kelly and Broik. Broik had 7 of the 9 selections. Broik and Kelly were a popular 1-2 finish. Obviously, who loses in the first round will have an impact, but you get a point for each one you get right. The losers bracket I might give more points for that because that's way harder to pick than just like a head-to-head matchup. So, but we are here. We are at the playoffs. It's the best time of this. Well,
it's the best time.
Of the draft.
The draft is the best.
Playoffs, especially when you make it, the playoffs are pretty epic.
It does feel good. Like I said earlier, I was on a drought, so this feels great. I'm ready to like really overthink my start-sit decisions for the next several days. It's awesome, and we'll see what happens. It's great when things come down to the wire, but it'd be even better for me if it was over early, put it to rest. But I think all these matchups are going to be tight, going to be close, a lot of parity. It's going to be a hell of a finish. I hope the rest of the league joins in, even if you're out of it. Stay active, stay competitive, root for Alaska to lose, root for Bauer and I to make it to the championship because really we deserve it. That's really all I have to say, man.
Yeah, let's good luck. Let's have some fun, high-scoring matchups, and let's Alaska lose. Let's go.
Let's go.